What's up everybody, it's the Real Estate Doc, and today I'm going to show you a day in the life of me in which I did an open house. A little bit about myself: I'm a real estate agent in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. I've been doing real estate in terms of having properties both here and overseas since about 2015, and I just want you guys to learn as much from me as possible. Let's get right into it about the day I did my open house. First things first, if you know you're not a person that doesn't like to clean the house, get a professional cleaner, okay? Someone that can clean the house the day before or whenever prior, especially if you're still living in the house for the open house. Something I did is I filled the balloons with helium the day before. Thank goodness for my brokerage, Keller Williams, who has a helium tank in there. So I filled up all my balloons, also picked up more open house signs so that I can place them up and down the street of the place. Say more about that in a second. Anyway, the day of, in the morning of the open house, I came downstairs to see all the balloons and all the helium had died down. So guess what I had to do? I had to go back to my brokerage and fill up more balloons and take them into the house that I was doing the open house. Now, all the open house signs, I put at least one balloon on each of the directional open house signs, and I placed them on the corners of all the major streets that's pointing towards where the open house is. Then I put a bunch of balloons in front of the house, including an open house sign pointing direction. This is the house that we're doing an open house at, which it did do the job, because every person that was riding their bike or walking their dog or any person that was driving past saw all these balloons in front of this house, and they turned and looked and said, "What is going on here?" Oh, it's an open house, which did drive a lot of traffic into the house. Sounds cheesy, but it works, okay? Day of, one of the main things I do is I make sure there's a table in front of the house where people can walk in and sign in. A few reasons why I want them to sign in. A is because I want to learn from them what do they like about the house, what they didn't like about the house. Just in case maybe the house was on the market longer than expected, at least we can get some feedback from the people that came to the open house. Maybe they didn't like the paint, and that's something we can change for next time. We can at least learn from the people that are coming in of why the house is not selling. Also, I put my business card on the table. Of course, that's self-explanatory. Make sure you're selling yourself too, because you do not know who next is walking in. Another thing is I always ask, do they have a real estate agent or not? Because if they don't, at least you may be a resource for them. If they don't want you to be their real estate agent, at least you can refer out to one of your colleagues. Of course, I put the nice "please sign in" sign big and bright so that they can come in and sign in onto the thing. Unfortunately, this is one of the things we may have to do as real estate agents. The owners may not clean up the day of, okay? Of course, even if they clean the day before, there are certain things they do in the morning. They shower, they brush their teeth, they eat their lunch or whatever, they took mail from the mailbox. You still have to come in and make sure that all that stuff is clean, because sometimes they forget. It's just habitual as us as human beings. So that's why I had to make sure everything was clean. There was dishes out, there was mail on the table. One of the rooms, the girls that lived there did not clean up at all, and I just walked into a mess. Good thing about closets is you can put everything into the closet, and even if people that are viewing the house open a closet and see the closet's full of junk, it doesn't really matter. They can at least be aware of how big the closet is. They don't really care that there are things in there. So that's one of the generous things about open houses is closets can be full. Just make sure that the space is open and generic so that they can see. Then time is coming close for you to do the open house. Make sure that all your signs are up with the balloons on there. One of the final preparations is to make sure you look good, because this is important. You got to make sure you belong in this game of real estate. Then make sure all the lights are turned on. You want the place to be big and bright. If it has a nice view, make sure the windows are open so that they can see what exactly this room is bringing to the table. Then it was supposed to be a waiting game for me to sit around and wait for people to come. But this place is on a hot market, and I mean, as soon as the time started for the open house, people were coming in. Another thing that was on the sign-up sheet was also, how did you hear about us? Or how did you hear about the open house? It's important because that's something that we can use as feedback. Some people said Zillow, some people said Redfin, some people said they were just coming from the gym and they saw the signs. One person just lived up the block and he was walking, was like, "Yeah, I want to sell my condo," and because you have a real estate agent. So there's things that you can do. Also, before the open house, just make sure you know this house code. Common question: when year was this house built? When year was this house renovated? How old is the roof? Is this central air? All these things, just know about the house, because you're going to get question after question after question. Of course, there's questions that you may not legally be able to disclose, but if it's just generic questions that they can actually probably just look up and they're looking at you because you should know this house code, just know it. Also know the neighborhood, because it is important that they know, is there what's the closest mall, what's the closest metro, train, bus, whatever, because they're going to want to know what it's going to be like to be living in this new home of theirs. So know the house code. So the real estate open house went really well. Several offers came on the table. A couple offers were 20,000+ over what the listing price was. So I would say it went really well. If you like this video and you like what I am producing and there's things that you want to learn about real estate, please comment below and hit like, and don't forget to subscribe.